Hello fellow egoists, today we'll be analyzing chapter 246 of Blue Lock. Sorry for the format of the video, but I've got a lot of things to do recently, so I'll be doing this at least up to until the PXG match starts, where I'll be going back to the animations in a more edited style. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, with the chapter first starts with Igaguri and Kiora training together. Now, what are they training? You might wonder. And the thing is that what we're seeing is actually Igaguri training Militia for defense. If you look at the impact, you see clearly that Igaguri is falling and then just fucking dying over here. Ah! Anyway. And so yeah, so that's basically what's happening. And why Noah is there is this then to act as the judge. At least that's what seems that's going on. So yeah, Kiora can also be a bum because I mean, how as a human being do you sweat while training against Igaguri? That's the question to see. But maybe Kiora is already overrated before even coming into the field. But we'll see. Anyway. Now heading on into the bids. Really interesting, and the most interesting thing I want to talk about before actually talking about the bids, etc., what does it matter, is Fukaku Gen. Fukaku Gen is currently in the top 23 as of now, and Ubers has stopped playing. They have no more matches. But if we go with the idea that Japan will need a second goalie for the U20 World Cup, then we can limit ourselves and say that Fukaku will be the limit for the next round of bids on what you need to surpass to be in the top 23. So basically, if you want to get in the top 23, because Fukaku will quote-unquote necessarily be in, but this is an assumption, then you will need at least more than 28 million to get into the top 23, okay? So this is the raw idea, which is really interesting because then it tells us that, for example, Raichi, who's at 18 millions, will need an increase of at least 10 million to be able to play. But once again, this is an hypothesis. This is all based on the idea that Fukaku Gen will necessarily be in the top 23, but we never know. He could for sure be kicked out or whatever. Now to talk about the bids themselves. Of course, Bachira at 80 million, a pleasure to see. I'll be honest, Bachira is currently, in my opinion, one of the best strikers in Blue Lock. You see it in top 5, but if Bachira just had a little bit more finishing, he could 100% be the best striker in Blue Lock, at least in my opinion. Near Rin level, for sure. We have then Aiku at 60 million, which is a bit sad because Lorenzo told us that Aiku was worthy of 80 million, but now he's at 60 million. It is what it is, but I mean, Ubers seems to have totally crushed Menshine, so it is to be expected. And talking about Menshine, we see that Chigiri got only a 5 million bid increase, so maybe the one who could have scored for Menshine could have been Chris Prince, either Chris Prince or Agi. Those two are the ones who we can take into account for who could have scored. So yeah, a bit underwhelming for Chigiri, but honestly, if he didn't score and he just did some defending here and there, got some opportunities, it's normal at least he didn't get a lower bid. That's the most important part. Kunigami is still at 8th. I mean, not much to say about the guy, he's basically invisible. RU at 45 million. RU is a bit of a weird case because you could call him a fraud. He didn't do necessarily much in the Ubers and Bastard München match, but the important thing is that he's a total aerial monster. There has been no point in time in Blue Lock where RU has been beaten in the air by someone other than David Silva. David Silva, was it his name? I don't remember. But anyway, RU is a total monster in the air, and if he's able to work on his ground game, he has the potential to be one of the greatest defenders, okay? So we can go with the idea that while he has not shown much because of his specs, he can get high bids because the bidders see potential in him. Otoya at 42 million, which is pretty good. Not much to say, honestly. Nagi, 40 million. So he already dropped half in value compared to when he scored his goal in the Manshine match. I do have a quick theory about Nagy. I mean, it's not actually a quick theory. I have a theory about where Nagy could end up, but that's for another time. All I'll say is, be ready guys, I'm cooking something. It's mostly for funsies, but you'll see anyway. Nico at 40 million, absolutely love to see it. Nico is one of the best defensive midfielders you can have. Metavision, great interceptions. As we saw in the Ubers match, he's able to call out to the backline on how he wants to play, as to be able to link up with them. And he's the one who helped, he's the one at the basis of, for example, why Lorenzo was able to stop Kaiser's shot and how he got a fucking concussion in his head, which I explained in a Reddit post. I'll put it on the video and in the description for a link if you want to check it out. But yeah, and I even explained it in the chapter review actually. Sendo at 37 million. So one thing I want to talk about is, I mean, actually it was pretty obvious, but how Sendo's goal was literally just an imitation of Barrow's goal back in the U20 match. I'll show the pictures on screen while I'm talking anyway, in the post editing, so you'll see what I mean. Yukimiya, 36 million, not much to say. Karasu, 35 million. For PXG, I'm keeping it for another video, but really glad to see my boy shining a bit. Reo, 34 million, not much to say. I mean, falling to Corona's reach while you're having Metavision and great capabilities is underwhelming to say the least, but what can I say? He has to figure things out by himself, and once he does, he could 100% be in the top. I see Reo as being a potential top 5 in block if he gets his things together, so you just gotta wait and see. Gagamaru, a bit low, but the thing is that we haven't seen much of him. We have seen one block from him against Barrow in the match, so it's like, okay. But yeah, Fukaku, as we said, I mean, Fukaku is kind of an asshole, I'll be honest, because we didn't see much in the Ubers match, literally no block, and then all of a sudden 28 millions, but I mean, he didn't even play. Yeah, I'll put the picture on screen, but he didn't even play in the highlights we got. So yeah, Tokimitsu 23, and then the rest I don't have much to say. Honestly. Nanase close to 23rd. I mean, it could be not much to say. Yeah, let's just say that. Also, just how Maurice Bessie at 3 million. It's just yeah. Anyway, for Reo, he's starting to realize that there is something wrong and that he needs to change, but not much. Shido at 4th, 100 million. Honestly, glad to see, but I didn't expect at least 100 million, but it is something. Also, the one thing that's really interesting is that he got the offer from PXG. So seems that PXG really do want both Rin and Shido, but the thing is that, as we will see later on, we know that PXG is actually working in a double standard. So will PXG still put a bid on both Rin and Shido? And if PXG isn't able to merge the two of them for the Basar München match. Barrow, all can I say is calling Isagi a loser while he's tied, and that he will surely be left off as Isagi heads for the at least first position or he gets a higher bid. It's like, okay, Barrow, you're the loser, it seems. I mean, don't get on my ass, Barrow stands. I know how you guys are. I'm sorry, but he's literally calling himself out. Like, you're tied, you're neck and neck with a loser. Aren't you a loser too? That's what I'm saying. And Rin at number 1. One interesting thing is that for Rin, his bid only increased at 18 millions. Why is that? Even though, for example, Corona told us that a goal is at least 30 to 50 million back some chapters ago. The thing is that the bids work on expectations. Rin was already the first in block. We expect a lot out of him, and all he did was scored one goal. One really great goal, insane curvature on his shot, but it was only one goal, so his increase wasn't that big. So most importantly, bids work on expectations. Which is why, for example, Nagy is still so high up while falling down, etc. Anyway, we won't go further into this. And then we have Noah talking a bit. So those of you treading the borderline, this is obviously a reference to, for example, Hiyori and Raichi. Those of you seeking to turn the tides in one fell swoop. Who could it be? And those of you aiming for number one, of course, Isagi. Then, just a quick talk about their strategy meeting. I've already talked about a quick bit about what could be the formation, so I won't go further into this, you can just watch the video. And then we get into Loki and the PXG room. We see Shappa, the left center back of PXG. He seems to indeed have some importance because, I mean, as a center back, being so high up on the field, back when we last saw him in the Ubers match, he's kind of insane. So he will for sure have some importance, especially since we see him between Shido and Rin. So yeah, expecting not a whole lot, but I'm wanting to see why is he being given those quick details, let's say. So then, what's really interesting for this goal, for this part rather, is that we see how Rin shot four times and only had 3 that were on target. So with this, we get the confirmation that most of the matches that we see, for example, the U20 match and the other matches are a compilation of highlights of the game. They're not how the game is actually played, right? Which is great to see. So then what do we have? We have Shido shooting 12 times and 3 that were actually on goal. It's like, okay. Not much to say about the rest. He's just talking about their main strength and how they need to go further into this talent, which is something I talked about in my Naked King video about Kaiser, and how PXG's philosophy will surely be about, as he says, singularity. Using your talent and making it so overwhelming that you manage your whole playstyle around it. And for Nanase, which is pretty funny, it's just that as we saw last time that Nanase was called kind of trash, it was by Isagi and immediately and exactly on the same thing, which was his ball control when he trapped the ball. And then we get into Charles. A bit about Charles and how he's there for Loki's sake, etc. Honestly, not much to say. I mean, you've probably seen millions of videos about him and whatever, so I won't go further into this. All I'll say is you are not Bachira, okay? You're not that guy. Trust me, you're not that guy. And then we get into the systems. So we have the Isagi versus Kaiser system, and now Loki aiming to have both Shido and Rin work together in an abnormal kind of way. But the thing is, we already know Shido and Rin can't have, how can I say, chemical reactions. So Charles will be the one at the forefront, but in the same light, we also have Hiyori, who will need to now work with both Isagi, Kaiser, and maybe Kunigami, right? Since he has decided to not just follow Isagi from now on. But I mean, we still have the Isagi system, quote unquote. So I wonder, will Hiyori really sit in the middle and choose whoever is best, or stay in the Isagi system? But we'll see. This is for another time. One detail I quite like is that we see how Shido's aura is actually feathers, while he's supposed to be a dragon, a demon. And dragons don't necessarily have feathers, so kind of funny to think about. And also Rin's aura being water, which is something I already talked about on Twitter, but there is a whole video I need to make about that topic. And so yeah, and with this we finished the chapter. Wait, what did I? Yeah, it was for the bids. But yeah, not much to say. I think with this we're pretty much done with the chapter. There's still some things to say, but it's more so related to theories I have. For example, for how Igaguri may get into the top 23. Because he will surely get into the top 23, at least in my opinion. I mean, in the chapter, no, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Anyway. But yeah, top 23. And yeah, I think I've done pretty much everything. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It was, glad... Okay, I'm losing my words over here. I give up. All I'll say is I hope you enjoyed it and have a great one, fellow egoist.